Hey guys, Lizardlea here for For Heavenly Beasts Day 71. So this is the progress from Day 70. It's mostly just the Kreenik threads. Finally get to do something besides that now. Yay! I've been sneezing all morning, so see how that goes. The best part was I had like hairs right here that were just sticking up like crazy, like way worse than that. It was like, it was hilarious. Kind of wish I had not fixed it so I could show you guys like, this is what I'd look like as an anime character. Some of them always have like crazy hairs sticking up. It's weird. But I don't know how many people watching actually like anime or care about anime or watch anime, so wasn't sure if it would go over well. Whatever, we're all here to watch me cross stitch, so I'm gonna go cross stitch now. Alright, so what are we talking about?
We're talking
As
about
you type away.
Peter Pan Goes Wrong, which is on YouTube for free. So for the record, if this sounds remotely interesting to you, watch it. And it is it's air quotes put on by the BBC. Like the BBC does actually fund this, is my understanding. And so they take their theater troupe and they have them put on a show, and it goes horrifically wrong. Everything that can break does, everything bad that can happen does, and it's so wonderfully done, and it is laughing until I cried hilarious for the majority of it. It is, everyone I've shown it to has loved it. We were shown it by a friend who loved it. I showed it to my mom who loved it. Liz obviously loved it. It is an easy recommend. It's like an hour and change long. It's not too long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. And there's others that we haven't watched, but I have not enough good things to say about it. What was your?
So I was very skeptical at first because I was like, British humor usually isn't my thing. Well, I can tell you it's hilarious. And it's not your typical British humor, so I think anybody can enjoy it. You might get a little bit of secondhand embarrassment, but it is scripted. Like, none of this is accidental. This is all supposed to happen. So, they're all good actors.
To kind of touch on that British humor thing, like, I feel like there are two very distinct types of British humor. There's like Benny Hill, which is definitely not my thing. And then there's like Monty Python, which does have Benny Hill-ish things to it, but there's a lot of really good. This edges towards Monty Python in my.
See, and I disagree because I barely liked Monty Python.
I think you've seen.
I've liked bits and pieces. Like I quote, "We are the knights who say neat," yeah. But that was like the only part of that skit that I liked. Him having no more limbs, that was funny.
Yeah, and I think it's closer to those sorts of skits. I guess the
swallow was funny, but my favorite part was the bunny.
Yeah, but the bunny and the Black Knight are like basically the vibe of this entire thing.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Those are small bits of Monty Python, though. Like, overall, I don't really have the desire to rewatch Monty Python because there were only parts of it that I laughed at. Versus Peter Pan, I laughed at every single joke. Except for, like, maybe two. But,
yeah, there's a few small whiffs, and there's also just the, like, oversaturation of it, where you're just so tired of laughing that you're just like, okay, I'm burnt out, but.
I mean, there were a couple repetitive ones, but overall, no. I would absolutely watch that again. Mm-hmm. Like, if Holka comes over and she wants to get a good laugh out, oh, heck yeah. I will say, there were, as is frequent in a lot of plays, actors that played more than one character. And I called it out. I think I realized every single one. You didn't notice that Tinkerbell was the same as the mom. And I was just like, how can you, what? It's her.
Yeah.
So they are really good actors. And they're so funny. Like, my favorite was the Croc. And every other part that he played. He was my favorite part of that whole thing.
John, wasn't he?
Yes, he was John, because Michael's the younger one. Right?
I believe
Wendy,
so,
John,
yeah.
and Michael? I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's age order.
I adored him. I mean, honestly, everybody was great. It was so funny. Like, I don't want to like spoil anything because I'm the type of person, if you tell me a joke beforehand,
Yeah.
it's usually not very funny to me after that.
Yeah, I don't want to like it's hard to go into like all the different examples, but at the same time, like the one that Robert told me that sold me on it that I think is great is it's making fun of the theater by, you know, like first of all, if you're remotely in the theater or whatnot, watch it. Just go do yourself a favor and watch it. It's doing such a good job of like, oh my god, yep, I know that person, I know that one, I get what they're doing here. But even if you don't, it's still hilarious. So the one he sold me on, where I was like, oh, because at first when he was talking about it, I'm like, oh, this sounds like awkward humor, where it's just like, oh god, I can't watch them fail on stage, and they're, you know, like the Office style, where they're pretending it's real, so it is cringy. Whereas this is clearly, like, just catastrophically over the top. There's a character who can't remember their lines, and so in the little preamble where we're meeting the cast and they're talking about the production before the production starts, you see like the stage manager, and they're like, look, he can't remember his lines. He's like, well, we could put a microphone in his ear or something. He's like, or they ask him, do you have like a microphone or something? He's like, yeah, I think I have something that would work. He's like, okay, is it going to be noticeable? No, it shouldn't be noticeable. And the guy comes out with like a World War II headset on his head. It's like clearly, obviously noticeable. And then whenever they send him any messages over it, boom, it like keys in and you can hear, boom, oh, okay, Peter, I would love to go to Neverland. Like, it's, no, don't say it like that, you idiot. Like, just.
Oh, it was so
it's
good.
So well done. I cannot overstate enough how good it is. So do yourself a favor. If you have an hour, watch it. Put it on a list somewhere. Take your time. Just it's so worth it.
As a former stage manager, there was a stage manager in that play.
Yes.
Yep.
Any more gaffers, too?
Like, and I remember freaking, you called me. You're like, yeah, Robert's saying you were a stage manager for a play once. I was like, no, you weren't. And then I was like, yes, David, yes, I was, for a Sweeney Todd play.
I am a bad
And your response
fiance.
was, oh, I'm a bad fiance.
Yeah.
Robert knows better. And I was like, well, yeah, that's probably because he was in a bunch of plays and you weren't.
And then Peter Pan flew up onto the table.
That was so good. Oh. Yeah, no.
Let me get the shoe. I know, I just...
Stop it.
Even now, it's still funny just thinking about it.
Like,
it is...
10 out of 10. I thought it was hilarious.
It might be one of the funniest things I've seen in the past 10 years. Like, or sorry, it is definitely the funniest thing, or one of the funniest things I've seen in the past 10 years. It might be the funniest thing I've seen in the past 10 years. Like,
yeah, I think I can agree with that, because most of my favorite comedies are from, like, the 80s. Like, Clue. That came out 30 years ago.
I enjoy watching a lot of abridged series stuff that I know doesn't do much for you, and those have made me laugh pretty hard. And there's one or two D&D thingies that I've watched, that like the Halloween episode of that one.
Okay, no, so I feel like you're comparing apples to oranges. I'm trying to think of funny comedy movies.
I'm talking period. Like, at all. It's that good. And I mean, like, if it's not the funniest thing, it's like top 5 easily. Like, it's very, very good. Easy recommendation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
As long as you like comedies, you should love it.
Do yourself a favor.
And whether you do or don't have horror, traumatizing anything from theater, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. So, want to do heavyweights next?
Sure.
Okay,
So that movie was Dodgeball before Dodgeball was Dodgeball.
Yeah, pretty much, with Ben Stiller as the villain again.
Yeah.
Playing
the same character, which was kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me think of having like a more critical eye towards Dodgeball, but I mean, he's a great villain in that role. He's good in both of them.
Yeah. We watched it because a friend of ours was like, "Oh my gosh, you've never watched blah blah blah," and he found out that Liz had never watched Heavyweights. I watched it when it came out in theaters, because I'm old.
Whatever.
And it's a great. Well, no, it's not a great movie.
It's a good movie. I liked it. It was cute.
It's okay. I don't think it holds up super well. Like, I wouldn't want to watch that again, ever. It's not bad. It works. There's a couple of awkward moments where it's like, ooh, this is aged a little weirdly. And then there's a lot of that, like, yeah, I'm an adult now. These kids would go to jail, like, moments.
Yeah, like they should be going to juvie rather than fat camp or whatever you call it.
Well, and and the parents too. A whole bunch of weirdness, but who cares, It's it's very it's very 90s, is I think the way. Like, okay, so first of all, you have an entire category of kids movies where it's just outlandish nonsense. Like, this doesn't make any sense. This is not how things work. But it doesn't matter because it's aimed at kids. It's not aimed at families where it's like, oh, Kiki's Delivery Service, or even in a Disney movie where like this makes logical sense for the story. This is aimed at kids who go, yeah, they beat up all the adults and whatnot.
And they got candy.
Yeah, exactly, and whatnot.
Yeah, there's gosh, what was it? College Humor. There was a group of 4 people sitting at a diner, and they would throw out different things and they'd discuss it. And I remember one of them, it was discussing how in a lot of like kids movies, especially around the same time that what's it called? Heavyweights came out.
Yeah.
That it was all about torturing and hating adults. And they were like, that's why so many current people hate themselves and other adults, because so many movies were like that. And one of the ones they threw out was Heavyweights, because they were like, yeah, it's literally all about torturing adults. The only adult that they don't torture is the fat guy with them who literally acts like a child. And when I was watching that, I was reminded of that College Humor skit, because I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, no, they were right. This movie is absolutely about hating adults.
Yeah, there was that genre essentially of adults are the enemy, kids unite and fight them off and stuff, except for the cool adults who are kind of like kids. And there's subtlety in some of those where you wind up with like, oh, but they're still blah blah blah, or oh, you learn a valuable moral about, well, adults are that way because that's what it means to be an adult, and you're still a kid, so enjoy being a kid, but you do have to grow up and respect adults. Like, there's a lot that's been done in that range, but Heavyweights is doing nothing clever there. It's straight up that like, yeah, kids rule, parents rule nonsense kind of vibe, and it's of those, it's not bad, but like I feel like I can't think of one off the top of my head, but like there's ones that I like more than that.
I don't think I'll ever rewatch it. I would absolutely rewatch Dodgeball, however.
Yeah, I think Dodgeball's a better movie.
Mm-mm. But I will say I do remember John's favorite line from the movie: "Repulse the monkey."
Yes.
So I still have that somewhere in my Google search to see about maybe getting him a shirt that says that, because he said he wanted one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm not thinking about it.
Oh, like another similar movie like that you would recommend?
Yeah. I'm just like trying to be like, oh, if I were gonna watch them, there was one that was stuck. Like, we were supposed to watch Three Ninjas right afterwards, but we watched Clueless instead.
Cutting Edge. We watched.
We watched Cutting Edge with John. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Topic. Do you want to talk about Cutting Edge?
Did we already talk about Cutting Edge?
No, we did not. Do we have time to talk about Cutting Edge?
We have like 6 minutes.
I think we can do it in that time. So we'll just jump into The Cutting Edge. The Cutting Edge is a rom-com based on figure skating from the 80s, 90s. And it is, I liked it. I gave it like a 4 out of 5, which is pretty high for me.
I thought you were about to say 4 out of 10 and I was going to stab you.
No,
I
of the rom-coms we have watched recently, I think it's one of my favorites, if not my favorite.
See, and I thought you didn't like it.
No, I liked The Cutting Edge. I had a blast. It's okay, first of all, it's like at least one of, if not one of the main inspirations for Blades of Glory, which I think it's better than Blades of
Oh,
Glory.
it's way better than Blades
Yeah,
of Glory.
because it's actually funny while still being cute. It just works. It's really weird how it works, but it works. Like, the concept is fine until the very end, where they kind of go over the top out of nowhere with, like, well, this is the move, and they come up with some ridiculous move rather than just like,
yeah,
yeah.
that was ridiculous.
Even as a kid, Iron Lotus. Yeah.
Even as a kid, I was like, that seems stupid.
Yeah.
But you know what? I loved that movie, and I'm okay with it.
There is a ton of chemistry, way more than.
Clueless had a lot of chemistry, but I will give you, this one has had some of the best chemistry we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, if those two had gotten married, I would 100% have believed it.
Yeah, and I mean, the chemistry between them, the little, like, frustrations and arguments and whatnot are all really fun. The coach is hilarious.
I love Pam Jacob.
They don't overdo any of it where, like, they have to make a character evil or stupid or anything like that. Like, it feels like
everybody feels believable. Like,
yeah,
like a real character.
Pretty much everyone's an adult being an adult. Like, there's still some melodrama about certain characters and how they behave, but it just works for the most part, because it's not getting mired down in the nonsense until the very, very end, where they just come up with something completely ridiculous. And even that isn't too bad until they actually do the thing. And it's like, why did you pick this as the thing?
I mean, if you watch people ice skating, they can do some pretty freaking ridiculous things. Yes, that one was way too over the top.
Yeah.
But there are moves that like people did at the Olympics, and they're like, oh no, that's illegal now. Gymnastics does it all the time.
Yeah, which is why I'm kind of curious as to why they didn't just pick one of those, or are they coming up with something that I'm pretty sure defies several laws of physics, but whatever.
I mean, I think the main issue with that is, if it's usually named after a coach or something, they probably have to get permissions and yada yada yada. And if it looks too much like something else, maybe they'll get sued. I have no idea how it works, but I loved it. And then it's been months now, and we still quote topic. And I loved it. When we went to go see my family, a couple weeks ago,
yeah,
you shouted that out, and from the living room, I think it was, and I was in the kitchen, and I was like, topic. And my mom turned around and immediately said it as well, because my mom's the one who introduced me to that movie, and she and I do that all the time.
Yeah, it's incredible. It catches on incredibly fast, because it's that kind of moment where it's not anything super impressive or whatnot, but at the same time, it's just quotable, hilarious, stupid fun.
Yeah, it's when they're not getting along and
Yeah.
they're picking on one another, and because they have such good chemistry, it works perfectly.
Yep. I don't even know, like, if I have anything else to say about it, because, like, that's just the movie, is fun, animosity, chemistry, and then figuring out, oh my god, I love her, yeah, I love him, oh, but this, but that, but this, some contrived nonsense in the way. And then I think that's, like, 90% of the movie. There's, like, another arc somewhere in there that I feel like I'm forgetting. I just don't know what it is. Like, okay, so...
Do you mean the arc with his family?
Maybe that's it?
Where, like, he started out as a, like, hotshot hockey player.
Yeah.
He gets hit so badly that he loses peripheral vision in one of his eyes. And so they're like, yeah, you can never play professional hockey again. But he's constantly reaching out to scouts and constantly trying to get work. And that's when Pamchenko finds him. Because Kate, the main female character, has been put into couples skating for the Olympics. And Pamchenko's like, hey, you want to try figure skating? Like, Pamchenko was one of the best parts of that movie. He's hilarious. But he even talks to Kate's dad and tells him, why did you put her in couples? She should have been, or in singles. Mm-hmm. Like, what?
The dad is, that's who I've been forgetting. He's one of the best parts of that movie. For a variety. Like, it's also one of those movies that's just fun to make fun of while you're watching it, and still really good. I'm not going to go into some of the uncouth humor we might have lobbied at the movie. But it's still just, it's fun to be like, oh my god, like, this is so stupid, but it's so funny, and it works. Like the dad being overly uber well. You have your own rink. You can just all day, every day, and skate and you horses and blah blah blah. And,
Did she have horses?
or like a pony or something. Isn't that one of the jokes at some point?
Yeah, she had a pony growing up. I don't know. But yes, no, her dad is loaded.
Yeah. This is where I'd put my trophy if I had it.
If I had it.
Yeah, he's a little. They're a little intense.
I mean, there are absolutely parents out there like that, though.
Oh, 120%. Yes, I've met.
Yeah, that's the gear they're always in.
Yeah.
With their kids.
And I mean, and then again, he's not that bad. Again, I'm used to worse writing where they like have to make someone the villain, but the dad's trying to do right by his daughter.
Oh yeah.
They're a competitive family and she's a competitive woman, but they're not trying to make him the needlessly, oh, I pushed her to, like, there is family drama, but it's much more grounded and realistic. It's not straight up like, oh, he beats her with a chain every time she doesn't get a medal and he has to save her and yada yada yada.
No, yeah, she and her dad love each other in a very good way. Like, they get along. Like, the worst thing about him is he only wants to ever see the good in his daughter. And sometimes she is a terrible person.
Yeah, that's brought up.
Yeah, it is, and I thought it was handled very well. I don't know. One of my favorite scenes along the same lines as the topic is the scene of the two of them working out. Like, she wakes up at 6 a.m., he comes in at 6:30 and is like, oh, I need to get here before her. So he wakes up at 5:30, she wakes up at 6 and sees him, so she gets up at 5. And so they just keep doing that back and forth. And eventually, one of them falls asleep at the dinner table.
Yeah.
So funny. I will say, I did forget how many, musical, not breakdown, the Rocky Balboa montage. There were too many musical montages.
Yeah.
I loved the songs, though. Like, every single one of them I was dancing and singing along with. But then it got to the end and I was like, that was too many. Like, especially because there were like 3 back to back.
Yeah.
It was a bit much.
Yeah.
But, still love it. I would recommend that movie. I give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, no, I couldn't give it a 5 out of 5 because, like, it's not that great, but if I would easily recommend it to anyone who's like, oh, I'm in the mood for a rom-com. I'm like, well, let me tell you about this figure skating movie that's surprisingly good for no reason. So yeah, that's all I've got.
Yay.
Would recommend.
Good.
And that is the end of For Heavenly Beasts, Day 71. I only got 2 hours and 42 minutes of footage. I've got a headache, and I've been interrupted a couple of times now, so I'm just calling it quits. I finished that darker pink and the lighter pink, which you can only see from really up close as pink and not white. No, wait, did I finish 3 colors? Or did I only finish 2? I feel like I finished 3. Am I crazy? Was it only 2? Maybe it was only 2. No, I think it was 3. There's like a light gray and a light pink and the darker pink. Whatever, progress, I take what I can get. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go lie down or something. We'll see. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next video.